Hello everyone and welcome to a special spooky new episode of the StudioMEcast. As you know, we have teamed up with the horror Sci-fi Pittsburgh 48-hour film project, which is having a screening on the 29th of October for the Best of and Awards Night. 13 original short films shot here in Pittsburgh with teams here, and today I've got Esteves Kyle Hupman from the team Bad Dates and their film Glazed Over. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. And I see that you've brought some garb from...
Yeah, well, we stayed in costume all the way to the DVD commentaries.
Fantastic. Excellent. I love the commitment. That's great. So all the teams had the same requirements except for genres, and those requirements were you had to have an adhesive bandage, a line of dialogue. I learned this secret long ago. Got it. And you had to have a skater by the name of Sean or Shonda Taker. But the wild card for all the different teams is the genre. So, and you get to pick, you pull two, and you can pick one or both of them. So what genres did you pull on Friday?
We had local lore and invasion.
Fantastic.
And we decided to combine both and go with both.
Yes. So I was really surprised when your film started and I saw it was included another apparent genre being mockumentary.
Yes.
Did you decide that beforehand, or did it just come about in the writing?
It came about in the writing. Our DP, Corey, he, after we all sat down to discuss the idea, we're leaning more towards local lore because we were thinking invasion would be harder with, trying to incorporate aliens or any special effect heavy storyline, so we're just trying to stay in the local lore, and then we started thinking about movies that play with that idea, and then it came to us pretty much the Blair Witch Project. Was the first one as a local lore type of movie, which is a found footage movie. So we thought about incorporating that idea and then slowly evolved into being a found footage to a mockumentary one.
Excellent. Now, I always forget to start with this, but can you please state your roles on this project? What positions did you fill for this horror sci-fi 48?
Yeah, I was one of the writers and producers of it, and I directed the movie.
Fantastic.
And he was also one of our members of the cult.
Yes, I was also wearing this costume on the day as well.
Excellent.
And so I was the editor. I did all of the post-production, and I provided the sound gear, but I wasn't able to be on set for most of the shooting. So I think everybody held the boom at one point.
Yeah,
right?
and you also did all the sound mixing.
Yeah, post-sound mixing, yeah.
And you have also a cameo.
Yeah, I'm in it.
You play the cameraman.
Briefly. Yeah.
He does all the voice work from the cameraman, and then you see him briefly at the end of the movie.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, yeah, one of the things that I really enjoyed about your film is it is just packed with really good jokes.
Thank you.
I'll save them for the people who are going to get their tickets in the description below. You already know this. Please do it. And if you already have, thank you for being awesome. And now tell your friends. Anyway, but just one of them where you say everyone has their own living space, and it's just the camera goes over and looks at just this open storage unit with someone laying.
I think that was you, right?
Was that you? Yeah, just laying there, just looking straight up. And I was like, oh my gosh. I actually used to work at a storage company in the marketing department, and there was this ongoing, I wouldn't say it was an ongoing issue, but there were stories of people who were living in the storage units and stuff. So that just took me back. But the whole thing, very humorous. It's great when you have just when your jokes land in your film,
yeah, totally.
Whether it's just the way y'all are walking or the entire premise, little one-liner quips, everything. So I enjoyed that immensely.
Good.
Visuals, it was wonderful, and which is great. So I have a personal bias, which is I typically don't like mockumentaries. I really enjoyed your short film.
Good.
And so Friday night you do the writing, and then. When did you start shooting Saturday, or did you get started Friday night?
We were doing test shooting as we were writing. Our DP brought the camera, and we're doing, because in the origin of the story, we were leaning towards something completely different. So we were just, it was going to be a little bit more serious in the way of what the cult thing that was the lore itself. We're thinking about like a shadow man that would just be like popping out of the darkness. And we're doing tests in the streets of Bloomfield of just like appearing with the night, with the moon in there. But after we just pivoted the whole way through, we started shooting. I believe we all met at my house to start at around 9 a.m. Someone else came in a little bit earlier so we could actually write some of the dialogue from the script because we had like a more of an outline at night, and then started shooting, I believe, around 9:30, 10.
Excellent. Yeah. All right. And then when you were during shooting, you get that started. What was the first scene that you shot?
The first scene that we shot is the last interview that you see, the one in the bar. We were using my neighbor's basement bar to kind of look like a real bar. And so that was the first thing that we shot, and then all the other interviews all the way. And then we ended our day with the big climax scene with all the cult at the end there.
We were probably there for 5 hours.
I think so, because I think we moved there as sunset, and we're there until a little bit past midnight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I really appreciate that you had a really solid ensemble for this. Like all the interviews, even if it's just one line or something, like they were all so wonderful. And how did you go about doing that? Were those parts all written? Did you kind of just improvise interviews? What happened?
A lot of it, I think, ended up being improvised.
I think you guys had some lines written down that you knew you wanted to get, but I think most of what happened, the interviewees just brought their character to the table.
Yeah, I think our writer, one of our writers, was following the camera along as some of us were going to the last location because it was going to be our biggest set anyway, to start planning around, and he would just kind of, because he was the interviewee in the movie as well, so he was just kind of like asking random questions to them and just letting them come up with an answer. They knew roughly what we were doing about the donuts and the power walking and the weird pants. So then they just kind of made their own thing. Because I think originally what we planned, because Kyle was our editor, so he wasn't there for when we started shooting or the writing this time. And our movie was going to start with that bar interview. And we're going to be intercutting the other interviewees. So we wrote the main interview, and the other people were supposed to like fill in the gaps from the main guy telling you the story. And then as Kyle was editing late at night there, he realized that the story would work better like the opposite way.
Yeah, I found it was an improv little scene that Corey, our DP, and Chris, who played Tim Thompson, our interviewer, they kind of just improvised the scene in the car when they were resetting, and I was watching it. I was like, this is the beginning of the movie, because they're talking about searching for the cult members, and like it just really, when I saw that clip, I was like, this is where it starts. Like, I know they had other plans, but the moment I saw that in my brain, it just all lined up that way, and then I was like, this is how it has to be. And I think you said you didn't even know that take existed until you saw it in the edit, right?
Yeah, because I was moving somewhere else, and now I just told them to be in the car and say, yeah, just like be recording, just like get some lines and some B-rolls of you driving around, so if we need, we have it, just so we can start prepping up the power walk of me and Zane when they find us, that they recorded that by, but the first time I saw it was when Kyle's like, what about this in the open? I was like, oh, actually this is pretty good, because it actually starts as an opening of a movie.
That's really cool. Yeah, it establishes so much so quickly. Like, it's like we got our main character, got the genre, got the premise, like immediately, so that we can just go through the story. And there's the mystery stuff, like, like there are reveals in it, but it's nice that it's not like, I think sometimes some people, and by some people I mean I have done this too, will I think mistake that just revealing information is plot. It isn't always plot. It's like just, we're learning stuff, but that doesn't mean stuff is happening in the story. It's like it feels. But anyway, but I really like that you you set it up so well at the beginning, and then we get to just play through this thing. So that's great too about like the inspiration you had with putting that scene at the beginning. I've seen that happen in a couple edits, like whether it was my film or someone else's that I was peripherally involved with, where it's like, oh, we need a hook, we'll just take that and put it at the beginning. I thought it worked out. I wouldn't have guessed that that wasn't how you planned to start it off. It feels very natural.
So much of it just came together, really, like over the course of the day. Because there was a script outline, but I don't think there was ever like a physical script. I wasn't there for the writing.
Yeah, there
so
was
I don't
never
know.
a physical script. I think the only full thing I remember being fully scripted was the interview at the bar.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had all the lines written down and we said them verbatim from what we wrote there, and had some jokes here and there that we just introduced to just try to play out. But I think everything that you see on screen was written. And then we had characters, I think, that we created for the other interviewees. But they didn't have necessarily full lines of dialogue. I think the only ones that was actually written was the first one. Is my wife that's playing the character with our baby in there, and because she's not very good, and she gets nervous in front of camera. So for her, it was better to have like specific lines of what to say. Some of the other people that we had, they were just very comfortable and very natural. That they were just bullshitting in front of the camera, just very casually, which made it for a better exchange.
We had, I want to say, an additional 6 minutes of just interviews and stuff that I had to cut out because our first assembly edit was, I think, 12 or 13 minutes.
Wow.
And I just was kind of sitting there Sunday morning like, I love all of this. What are we going to do?
Yeah, that was going to be one of my follow-ups, which was how long was the first cut. But yeah, you had to take out, a significant portion of that.
Yeah, and like our local historian had just some amazing runs of like these things that he would say, and
he was very good.
I tried so hard to leave one of his long dialogue clips in there, but we just didn't have time for it, so I had to cut him down to his little, like, I think he gets like a 6-second clip or something like that. But in our extended cut, he has probably like a full minute of just talking, and it's amazing.
Are you going to release an extended cut?
Yeah, we have it.
Awesome.
We're working now on some score a little bit for the ending of the.
Oh, very cool.
To build up some tension.
So do you, and this is both of you because you might have different opinions, but do you prefer the extended version over what's going to be screening this Sunday on the 29th on the Oaks Theater?
I do. I think as as you said, which I appreciate the fact that the jokes landed, but I feel like that we had to compact those interviews so fast that sometimes one of the jokes, when we watch it in theater, some people are laughing as another joke was coming in, so it gets lost because there's no like up and downs on it. It's just gonna like bam, 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 and then we get to the end. The longer cut gives you a little breathing room, so like these jokes can kind of land and live, and then you have another joke that can come and land and live.
Yeah, I actually used our screening to influence the extended cut, where when moments like that would happen, where somebody was laughing over the next joke, be like, okay, I need to put a little bit more of a gap there, or just like let that moment breathe a little bit so that the laughter can settle and then the next joke can be set up properly.
That's really cool. You've got your own like control group of audiences, you know, your own pre-screen. That's really awesome for that.
It was such a relief to hear everybody in the audience laugh when they were supposed to.
Yeah, because it's a huge leap with any comedy, because whenever there's few things that are more painful than a film that's supposed to be funny that just isn't, or people aren't responding to it. You know, it's kind of worse than a movie that's supposed to be scary, you know, but isn't. It's like, you're like, all right, well, it didn't get me, but let's keep going. You know? But it's not as uncomfortable, I feel like.
I think
at least for me.
I think that was part of our biggest concern going in there, because we were seeing some of the trailers of other groups before the first screenings, and a lot of the ones that we saw were a lot more serious. Like they were leaning very much into the horror aspect of it, while we we try to, and then we just like love this crazy idea that we came up with more and just decided to fully commit to it and decided to make our horror part be just like this weird undertones that you just don't know about the people talking about it, and you just see glimpses of them first. And then in the end is when it becomes the actual horror, but it's still just kind of like lighthearted enough. But it's still, I think at least has 1 or 2 jump scares in there, with like the reviews of our main villain kind of like being very close. And I think it's just mainly also just the awkwardness of it all in there that kind of makes it horror.
One of the things that can be really difficult about working with mockumentary, I have found, is in order to keep things looking very naturalistic, it can be harder to find, I guess, an appealing layout to your framing, because it's like, oh, well, it can't feel too overcomposed a lot of the time. But having the cult members having this unified body language and stuff like lent itself, including to one of the jump scares where it's like, whoa, it freaks you out, and you're able to get these really striking images with it. So it's like, oh, they kind of solved that problem. Wonderful, So I enjoyed that a lot because it like just really, even though sometimes like framing can, I guess, seem like a constraint or whatever, it really feels like you were able to get over that hurdle of sometimes mockumentaries, they're just not that visually appealing. That's kind of part of it, but you were able to have that and wrap it up in the humor and everything. So that's something I really appreciated about it. Now for the editing, did you start editing after everything was shot, or were you dumping cards as you went? How did that go?
So I was in Baltimore on a job and drove back Saturday. I think I took a little nap and then met them to do the walking bits, like the B-roll at the end was the first thing that I showed up for. I didn't have any idea what we were doing. They handed me a black T-shirt and leggings and said, "Get in line." And then our leader he's like 5, 6, 7, 8, and then we just start like going. So like I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I did have my laptop, and we did those bits. I helped on a couple of the interviews, and then when we got to the compound, I got the card of everything that they had done during the day and started organizing while they were shooting all the compound stuff.
All right. So you're setting up your edit before it's all even finished being shot, right?
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
You have to on a 40.
Yeah, you have to.
Pretty much. It's like there's a few teams I've talked to where they, still do like we write it, we shoot it, then we edit, but and one of them that did that really surprised me that they didn't start editing before they were done shooting, because they had a really compact edit. Like it was like there's a lot of editing going on here, and they're like, no, I started it Sunday. I'm like, okay, awesome, I guess. You're gonna go gray sooner than me, I hope. But
the very first time I did a 48 hours was a smaller crew than this. Was about 4 people. I helped write it. I directed and shot, and I was the editor. And I'm not an editor or even a camera person, so it was like just figuring out by just learning, by using what I learned in school to do it all. So I had to wake up at like 7 in the morning on a Sunday after shooting until like 2 in the morning to start editing. And I was like, I can't do this again.
Yeah.
And that's why I always just kept looking, like, I need an editor. Like, even if it's someone that would just start editing on Sunday, but then like they can at least be rested and wake up at like 6 in the morning to edit. Because otherwise, like, it's a lot to do by yourself.
It's definitely a learning experience.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's tiring.
Now, you talked about that first time. About how many people are part of Bad Dates this time around?
We had...
I guess that would be you and me, Chris
Corey,
Lucas, or not Lucas,
DJ,
DJ.
Lee, and Eric, and Zane this time.
I think
so,
so,
8?
yeah. 8-ish, yeah.
8. All right, solid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. And you're up for some awards this Sunday.
Yes.
Several of them,
yes.
I believe.
We were nominated for 11 awards.
Wow. Can you list them for us?
Yeah.
Right.
It's we're Best Film.
Huzzah. Congratulations.
Thank you. best writing, best directing, cinematography, sound editing,
Sound mixing. Maybe it was sound design, I think.
Sound
what
design.
it specifically was.
We have ensemble.
Oh, very good. Because they don't always have that as an award. Do you
Yes.
realize that?
Yes, yeah.
That's
Do
great.
we
I
got
hope
it for
they
the
did
ensemble?
that. That's good.
We're
I
kind
was
of
like,
hoping they made that one just to like acknowledge our cast, because we had such a great group of people that a lot of people just kind of like, I feel like you guys pulled them out of the woodwork that day, right?
The grandma is one of my favorites. It's just our friend Chris's actual grandma that I think Chris just called her. He's like, hey, grandma, we're just going to go shoot you saying some stuff. She's like, okay. And sat there and just said, grandma's about these guys who make donuts and walk around the neighborhood. And then she would just ask her a question. And she was like, oh, okay, this is it. And I think you guys were there for, what, 20 minutes?
That was probably really all we had time for every interview. Was
Yeah,
like,
they were just like pretty much like a one-take things. They were just getting, we're just like, we'll move on.
here's your chance
Nail
to
it.
be in the movie. That's great. Oh, that's so fun. It's cool when you can get, family to play those parts like that. It's, it's just wholesome, you know.
Because we also are nominated for costumes, which is all one of our friends. Is all his leggings. All the leggings you see in this movie pretty much are all came from one person.
Oh, really? Oh,
That's
I'm
why
glad you
his-
mentioned that. I should have thought to ask how you came about with that.
Yeah.
You should definitely tell the story about just the conception of the whole thing Friday night.
Because I think as we were discussing what to do, he was already wearing one of his leggings. They're all as colorful and nice as these ones. And we were kind of going to this cult idea, and then someone just looked at him and was like, what if they're all just wearing Lee's pants? And they were like, all right, that's like, they always have like a uniform. It's like, what if their uniform is just going to be like a black shirt and the colorful leggings? And then we had to use a Band-Aid. So we're just like, well, we'll just make the Band-Aid
Adhesive bandage, lawyers,
yes.
thank you.
And so we decided to just use that also as a part of the story instead of just...
I like the colorful.
Yes, because we're also looking for something that would be a little bit different. And our DP was the one who bought all the donuts in the morning, and he found those at a...
It makes
store.
it stand out too, because a lot of it's been interesting to see the different ways that teams use the same requirements that everybody has, and to see the different bandages that people use and how just the choices they make, whether they go with the most common ones or they're let's get a bigger one and put it on the hand or whatever. But I like that it fits the tone of what you're doing very much. That's funny that they're all from the same guy. That's cool.
That's why
Good for him.
Yeah, he's nominated for best costume design.
I hope he
Oh,
wins.
excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful.
So that should be fun.
I got nominated for what he's already got at home. That's
Yeah.
excellent. I love it. That's really funny. So, what time did you submit your film?
So I discovered this time that you're allowed to submit more than once. You can just keep uploading, and then the last one you upload is the one you take. So at 7 o'clock, I just hit export, uploaded whatever I had in the timeline, and then I did 10 more minutes. I did 10 more minutes, uploaded again at 7:15, and then I did 10 more minutes and uploaded. I think the final one we got in was like 7:28.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that extra 20 minutes or so of work, how much of a difference did you make in that time?
In the edit, you can hear my voice a couple times where I'm playing the cameraman per se with ADR, and that's where all that came from. We didn't have it in before that, and we had that 20 minutes, so it was like, okay, we got to get those lines in. So I think I went into my living room. We just pointed the mic at me real quick, and we had a kind of a post team there that day. I had Zane there because he also knows Final Cut X. So having him to build the credits, and then Corey was there with his laptop too to do the color. So we were able to delegate tasks and bring it all back together. And I forgot what I was going to say after that. What was your question?
That was how much did those 20 minutes, how much of a difference were you able to make after your initial submission?
So I feel like I feel like I did a lot in those 20 minutes. It was all sound. I wish I had had like 30 more minutes to do a couple more sound tweaks, but yeah, the 20 minutes were a pretty big deal. I feel like from the moment I woke up Saturday at like 9 o'clock, I think. So I stayed up until around 2 organizing and doing assemblies of scenes, and then DJ, who was our cult interviewee, he's from Hawaii, so his internal clock was all messed up. So he was actually able to stay up then from 2 to 7, and he finished organizing all of the clips and building assemblies, so that I was able to wake up Sunday morning with everything organized and ready to go. But I mean, I was going hard the whole day. Like I don't think I've edited that intensely in years.
It was a lot.
Yeah, and then
certainly.
Just so much of it was just like watching it and being like, okay, I guess I got to cut this. I got to cut this. I got to cut this. We picture locked at like 4 p.m.
I think it was around 4.
Yeah, 3 or
Okay.
4. And
Alright.
then so I gave a cut to Corey to do the color. And then I did all the sound mixing in Final Cut because I knew that trying to go to another program and bringing it back was going to add a lot of time. And I just wanted to have control over it. And if we needed to break picture lock for some reason, we would be able to if I did it all in
You
Final
also
Cut.
had to do the special,
Oh, that's
the
right.
eye,
Yeah,
I guess it should save the review, but
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a visual effect, and I think I had a half hour to pull it off, and I did it once and messed it up, and I did it again and messed it up, and then so like what you see is probably 10 minutes worth of work because that's all I had time for.
It kind of makes it funnier.
Yeah.
Like, it's fun.
And it like I see all the weirdness of it, but it's like it just adds. It's a
Yeah.
charming little thing.
yeah, no, it works. Like
Yeah.
the special effect works.
Yeah.
It's a
When
little funny, but it works.
When I sat down to start the extended cut, that was the first thing I wanted to do because I felt like I know I like shot this correctly to do it. I just didn't have the motion tracking knowledge to do it in like 10 minutes. So then I went and I learned how to do that. I spent like 3.5 hours on the shot after we were like everything was done, and now it looks perfect. But yeah, just you don't have 3.5 hours to do a visual effect during a 48.
Right. Yeah. It's that's like post-production. It's like crazy enough, like, oh, we got to get this script done, and then, oh, we got to shoot the thing, and then it's like putting it all together in record time is always an achievement. So
We
that's
also had
great.
our one friend writing an original song for us.
Yeah.
which is the
Oh, I
song
meant
that-
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The song that you hear at the end, he kind of wrote it in the, and then he came to meet us to start shooting. We didn't need him until the night, so he was just like helping move equipment and stuff like that. But he was just like, he brought his guitar and he would just like be kind of like playing around. And by 5 p.m. he had a song written down to be like kind of a catchy folk music to be like their theme for the cult. So we just like we're trying to incorporate like a community, as they say that they are, and the song for us felt like that was a necessary thing to just like bring that together and then just be like our connection in the end, and that's how you kind of end the movie with it. I think it's a pretty good song too. It's kind of catchy.
I think it started as like kind of a joke too, right? Like we were just like, hey Eric, you should write a song, and then
He did. He did not want to do it.
Yeah.
He was not. Yeah, he didn't want to do it, and I think he kind of did it like last kind of minute in there, and it works very well.
It does, yeah.
He found the chords for it, and we all just sang and make
stuck in my head for a week.
It was.
Anytime you have a song on a film, it's just it gets in there for so long. Now I want to ask about because this is sort of a question about editing versus production here. There's a shot where you have this, jump scare reveal, and there's a lot of purple, magenta stuff. Was that color done in post as a decision, or was it lit like that on set with gels?
It was lit like that.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that.
Our one of
great.
our crew, Zane, he's a photographer, and at some point during the day, we like asked him, I was like, "Hey, do you have any like lights or stuff that we could use?" He's like, "Oh, I have my entire package in my car." So once we got to the compound, like he pulled out like tube lights and ring lights.
Yeah, because even as you're saying about their bedrooms in there, that is just that it has that blue light, and then later on you see like another green light just popping up. These are all his little like square LED lights that he has. They just go the whole spectrum of colors. And then when we got to that last end, we were doing the quick review there, and then we kind of established that there's a little purple in the corners when you get to see how they make the donuts. And then when you turn around to the review, we just like cranked up the magenta to just like really just play with the weird looks of it.
That's so cool. Yeah, it makes it very striking and so cool. So now when you're filming all this stuff, did you have to do a lot of takes for it? Like, I mean, I know for the interviews, it was like you get one chance, basically. You know, maybe there's an exception. But like was there any part of the film, I should ask it this way, was there any part of your film that did require a lot of takes to get it?
I don't think so. I think the most things that we did was when they first get to the compound and do the first walkthrough, and it's all just one long take, and you see the cameras, you see the gym, and it's that whole interaction. And we just did those a couple of times because we just want to make sure we shot it in different ways. One that could be edited down, so you could be like cutting into things, so we wouldn't be one shot. I was fighting a lot for the one shot because I think that the one take kind of just draws you in more instead of like cutting, especially since it is supposed to be a mockumentary that will just be kind of like pointing the camera around. So we just kept doing some of them at different speeds. So we did like a slow one because it was a quick one, and so just go like bam, 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 bam. So we just kind of, so we could play around in the edit room to see which one would work, and if necessary, we shot one that we could zoom in and things, and then cut to just that, cut to this, and then just make it more choppy.
I don't think there were any scenes that we had more than 4 takes for. Like most of it we would get, I think it was like usually around the 3rd take was the one that I would use. For the walk, we got it on the 3rd take, but then decided to do a 4th take and make it much faster. And then I think that's the one that we ended up using just because it doesn't, the earlier ones drag just a little bit, and when we like really upped the pace, that kind of like just aided to the like tension of walking through the facility. So this is my 2nd time working with Bad Dates, and the one thing that we've done both times is overshoot the first scene that we try to shoot. So with the cult member in the bar, there's like 10 takes of some of his lines, and that's just, it's something that we're working on, because when we did the one in the summer, we had this one little flashback scene that we shot first and spent like 3 hours on it, 4 hours on it. Maybe not that long.
I mean, we just overcovered that one. This one, I think we just we were just liking the frame so much that we just kind of was enjoying being in that location shooting for a while.
Yeah, and that's kind of the scene too, where like you have to, like everybody's sort of getting into the mindset and like switching over to like we're making a movie brain.
And I think still at that point, this scene was our most important scene to us, because that's everything else going to be edited in between this dialogue. So that's why we're like trying to nail this, because the other ones were going to be the jokes, and this is supposed to be the serious creepiness of it all, until it was way later on when you were editing that it became a whole different thing.
Right.
So then we were like, we wasted a lot of time in that first scene.
So that makes a lot of sense, I think, because there is such thing as overshooting, you know, especially when you have a tight deadline for editing. It's just fewer takes to go through, but you got to get it right, you know. And but yeah, I wondered about that. Just like now, I want to go back to something you said earlier, which was, I know we said some of the scenes were improvised, but did you say earlier that there wasn't really a full script for this? What does that mean?
We had on Friday night, we wrote down beat by beat what was going to happen on it. So we knew the interview at the beginning at the bar, and we were like writing that we're going to talk to a historian. So we had a lot of the characters already kind of built into a frame for the story. So we had by not having a script, we never had like a printed full scripted pages there. In the morning we came in there again, and we sat on the computer and we were just fine-tuning dialogue. And then we had a workable script for everything in the computer, and pretty much just Chris, our interviewer, knew the questions and the dialogue, so he would then just go to the interviewees, and we would just give them the general idea of what we were doing and just let them kind of take it their own way, so it wouldn't be super scripted. And then in the compound, we knew what we wanted, but we only got to that location to know exactly what we could get at 5 p.m. So we knew what we were covering was like the whole review of him in there. They're going to have a whole dialogues. We're going to see the making of the donuts. They get pursued, and then they get converted into the cult. So we knew all the beats and everything, but we didn't have necessarily an understanding of how it would play. So like when we got there, they went to shoot a scene with the cop in the car by the bridge, and me and the actors kept walking and rehearsing lines and just like trying to time it, everything in between the hallways and the rooms, just create the actual story that would just kind of draw you in. So yeah, we had a script. It was just never printed or reviewed to everyone. Like 3 people knew the script.
Yeah, I never saw it
at any point. Yeah, we just kind of kept playing it by ear so the actors could have leeway to do whatever they wanted with the story too, since we wanted to be a little bit more organic.
Who came up with the LLC line?
That was either DJ or Chris. I think it was DJ.
Okay.
I think he heard it that kind of somewhere, a version of that, and then he just like, it would just be funny if I learned the secret long ago, always found an LLC with proper paperwork, and then just keeps on moving. And I was like, yeah, this is great, let's do it. And it kind of works for them since they're making donuts. There is like a whole company in it. So yeah, I think it was DJ. It was DJ or Chris, but I think it was DJ.
That's great. So yeah, and even just talking about your ensemble again, just the scene with the cop, it's like I'm like nailing these characters across the board. It's like so much personality to everybody, including Chris was the interviewer.
Yeah.
What's Chris's full name?
Chris Ronaldo.
Chris Ronaldo. Yeah.
Yes.
Had a great energy through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it was good because he got to, sometimes when you have a comedy, you have a bunch of funny people, and then the everyman or whatever who's like the normal person or whatever. But I thought it was great that he was able to have ambitious, humorous energy to him, but still like what everybody else was doing was so out there, and then it's also like, in a weird way, the people who are being interviewed, some of them are like really grounded as like really believable, but also you've got like the historian is a very like colorful character, like very personality, and so it was clear that there were a lot of ideas that made it to screen, which has got to be really satisfying, right?
Yeah, it's a little, because I think if you see, end up being 6 of us that fully wrote the story together on that Friday night. So you can kind of see, if you know each one, you can kind of see which ideas from who that kind of ended up in the movie just by the jokes or the humor that you see, like which ones are Chris, which ones are mine, or Corey. I think it's, if you know us, you can kind of see who had a hand on what for some of the scenes. So everyone got a little bit of their personality into it, which was kind of very rewarding to see at the end.
One thing I love about our team is that going into it, everybody's on the same page of like, yes, we want to make a good movie, but we are here to have fun. And I think that really shows in our final product.
Definitely.
We just had a blast.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's clear that you've got an environment that's really supports the creativity of the team, and being able to, come up with something that's got like this much stuff in it, like so many jokes, so many gags, so many characters, so many ideas, and it would be really easy for something like that to just totally lose control, whether it's like tonally it goes off the rails or the pacing is a mess or whatever, but it came together in a really nice way. So, and all in 48 hours. So congratulations again to that.
Thank you.
So we're gonna start to wrap up here properly, but I just want to say again, the congratulations on your nominations.
Thank you.
Especially, but not limited to Best Picture as well. So that's great, and also them bringing out a Best Ensemble, because they don't always offer that as an award, but come on, come on, so that's great, and. But yeah, thank you so much for being my guests, and
thanks for having us.
Absolutely, and looking forward to seeing your film again on Sunday, the 29th. Get your tickets in the description below, everybody. Thank you. And thanks a lot for coming to StudioME, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, that's it. Bye. Hey, I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you want to start your own podcast, why wait? Reach out to us at StudioME.me, and I hope you hear me again soon.